Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Courage to Live Your Dream. I am so excited because I have someone special that I'm going to introduce in just a second. But for now, I want to remind you that we are the show that helps guide and equip baby boomers in particular to use journaling to grow their creativity, gain more confidence, and increase their writing skills. We will show you how to turn negativity, health, and stress from pain to passion to help you heal, preserve memories, wisdom, and leave a legacy behind for your family and even become an author. I am the host, Lawana Parker, and also the producer and CEO of this show. Today, I am honored, pleased, and thrilled beyond words to have a very special guest to present to you today. This lady is so exciting, and I just know you are going to love her as much as I do after you hear her. She is someone who is what we call an up and coming star in the United States. She's already made it in the Philippines. She's a broadcaster, commentator, live talk show host, teleradio, a radio director, producer, and she's a certified mental toughness coach. She's certified NLP. She's also a columnist, a writer, and an editor. She is an international speaker, a consultant, an educator, a trainer, a coach, event host, satirist, and a humorist. Please help me welcome this very outstanding, innovating, and oh my gosh, you're going to love her, Miss Vivien Manglindan. Vivien, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Lawana. You said such amazing things. I was like, who's that about? Who's that about?
And that's only a small portion of it. My goodness, you are a busy lady.
What's important, let's start with this message, is to be busy and happy. That's where we're going, right? In
Exactly.
anything that, and Lawana, it's not necessarily the ha 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 happy. That's scary. At the
You,
end of the day, right? You can say it was a good day.
hey, it is a good day. It is a good day. But you are a person who can turn even the most mundane thing into something exciting that gets people really revved up. So tell us about who Miss V truly is.
That is a question that will take me 2,987,654 minutes to explain, and I'll run out of breath. let,
Well,
let me
I think
ask.
we can handle a few of those. Give us
Okay.
the glorious highlights of who Miss V is, because when I met you, I was just really excited because you were so, I mean, you had the kind of enthusiasm, the happiness, the just rises anybody's level, and you brought such energy into the meeting that I first met you in, and I just knew I had to get to know you. And it has been a whirlwind trip. I have to tell you.
That is true. When Lawana and I met, it was like we were like, old friends that reconnected. Like, you know how it is in high school, and then you meet after 20, 30, 40. Let's go to 50 for our age, right? Years later. And it's funny, we've been inseparable. We call each other, we text each other, we're just always conversing with each other.
Yes, yes, we do. And I thank you because I personally feel I've learned quite a bit just from observing you, let alone some of the advice and tips that you have given me along the way. I thoroughly appreciate that. But I really want to know a little more about Vivien, and I'd love for the audience to get to know who you are. Share with us some of the things that you have done that, or what got you into radio and broadcasting in general.
Sorry, I get giggly when people ask me that. I never applied for the job. I never I never studied broadcasting or anything that has to do with production, and I'm a producer. I never studied how to be a director, and I am, because I have this belief that having a certificate, a diploma, or a biodata that's about 2,000 pages long doesn't guarantee competence.
Mhm.
It doesn't.
Yes, that's true. And
And
sometimes learning the hard way is the best way because you won't forget.
tell me about it. I tell people, if I seem so smart, it's because it came from all my bloopers in life.
I'm obviously one of your biggest fans, but I would like to know when you got into the broadcasting business, did you find it challenging or difficult? Because you're in the Philippines, and I know things are somewhat different in the Philippines versus
Ah,
how they are in the United States. So women don't always have as many freedoms or rights in other countries as they do here. So was it difficult for you to get in there? And once you got in, were they accepting of you?
I love your question because most people think you want something and then you want to get into it. My life, if we ever do this again here on air, has been a whole series of suddenly finding myself like, oh, I'm here. And I'm not kidding, like, and then I'm here. I'm always put into situations I thought I was not ready for, or not even ready. I didn't know I knew how. Does that make sense? Meaning
Mhm.
people could see something in me that I was like, ah, me? Who? Me? Okay, let me tell you why. Somebody met me in a seminar on mental health, and he happened to be sitting beside me. Typically, me, I always have a comment about everything. Really, I always have an opinion about everything, and I tell people, correct me if I'm wrong, which people are like, are you serious? I like being corrected. And Lawana, most people don't.
Mm. Well, the only way you can learn is if someone who knows takes the time and trouble to correct you, not in a critical or put down way, but in an educational way to help you improve. And I, for one, appreciate that because that's how else am I going to learn? You're going to let me continue making a fool of myself when you know the answer?
There you
I'm
go.
sitting there thinking, oh, I'm doing all right because nobody's saying anything.
Exactly. So to the people who are watching, you see why Lawana and I fell in love with each other. Like, yeah, it's getting kind of obvious, right? We're like, and when did we meet? 2 months ago?
Oh, it's been about 2 months. Yeah, it has. And it feels almost like I've known you for years rather than weeks.
Exactly. Okay. Now, seeing that's the way we were, what happened was this guy beside me, I had no idea who he was. Actually, I never care who it is. I just say, I think blah. And then please correct me if I'm wrong. Then if I'm corrected, I'm like, wow, I owe you one. See, where most people are like, how offensive.
Mhm.
Remember, feedback is a gift. So I say gratefully, I owe you one. Here's the punchline.
Mhm.
He went on and on and on. And later he said, I want you to guest on my show. I'm like, show? What show? I only knew you're my seatmate. It turns out he had a talk show. He had a business talk show. And you know what it's like to guest people who just recite things they've memorized. And of course, he's so bored to tears. And he said, I said, what are you going to talk about? Oh, he said, I've heard you talk about everything. I need somebody who has a conversation. And this is a person who became my friend for a long time, right?
Wow.
Interestingly, here's the backstory. I guested on his show, and I don't ask for talking points.
Mhm.
I'm one of those fearless characters where I treat everything as just a day in my life. And
Mhm.
that is why I look stress free at my age, which is 70. It's like, yeah, 7 decades here, right? Just, Lawana, look, I tell
You're
people,
looking good, girl, for 70.
well, if you look at the world from a wacky perspective like I do, it helps. And also, if you laugh a lot, it kind of stretches your face.
Mhm. Well,
And
do tell. I better laugh a lot more.
yeah, there you
Mhm.
go. And it also works better on cam because tip for everybody, quick tip, is when we're having a good time, they're having a good time. When the guest
Mhm.
gets nervous, the host also gets anxious that it's going to be a bad show. So I'm
Mhm.
giving you tips on production and hosting. So I tell people, just be yourself. Not when people say be the best that you can be. That's stressful. I might be having a bad day. I'm not going to be the best that I can be. Ha! I just really, my greatest message is
Mhm.
decide that today is going to be a good day. Maybe not a wonderful day, maybe not an excellent day, but a good day.
Well, I always say I choose how my day is going to go. So when I first thing I wake in the morning, I give my thanks that I actually am here to see a new day. But then I make the decision. It's going to be a good day. Whether it turns out that way or not, I make the decision for me, it's going to be a good day. So I live by that. And it seems to work pretty well. I don't have time for negative things getting into my head. I get enough of that as it is. That's a 24-hour day job. Do you realize that? Because those negatives, they keep coming at you. They want in.
I like what you said because I tell people, I say, but how do you know it's going to be a good day or it was a good day? I have a very simple childlike answer.
Mhm.
Well, the option was to not have today anymore. So I'm
Mhm.
just glad I had today.
Yes, absolutely. Mhm.
So
So,
going back to my story, I was just being myself. And just like you can see today, I ended up interviewing the host. And it turns out the host had a co host. And it turns out they were two senatorial candidates. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm with politicians because he's so humble. He didn't introduce himself as a politician. And I realized so was the other one. I'm like, oh, I'm sandwiched between two politicians. Nice. I might as well just enjoy myself. Really. So I ended asking the two of them all sorts of questions, like when we first met. And then it turns out, because you can see my body language, I'm just animation personified, right? The
mhm,
station manager, because they have all of in it, this is in a TV station, they have so many monitors. And he was look because most business shows they're stones and rocks, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
here's this character like this. He got out from his office, went to the tech room. Who's that? No kidding, the famous who is that? and, and the techie says, I have no idea, but she's their guest. And so I was just watching. Famous words again. What a character. Tawana, I don't know if that's good news or bad news when people say, what a character. Point being, after the show, he came over, he came in and like, oh, I think I'm in trouble. I must have ruined the show, right? But then again, I'm like, well, I didn't invite myself in. It's not my fault. So it's just fine. And it turns out, he says, you're really a character. And I looked at him and like, so I heard. I said, did I ruin your station's identity? Because he was a station manager.
Mhm.
He said, no, I was so amused. And I said, sir, I'm not a comedian. And he started laughing, right? Like, what's wrong with this girl? But really, he said, I want you on my show. I'm like, wow, can you imagine? My energy went boing, boing, boing. Like, really? And I said, you also notice clueless. I didn't know he was the station manager at the time. So I said, "You also have a show here?" And these two guys were like, "Ah!"
See, see, only you could turn that into entertainment.
Yeah.
Someone else had I been caught between two politicians, I'm not sure how I would have handled that. I mean, oops,
Yeah, it's a
oops,
day in my
what
life.
should I say? Are they on the same
Exactly.
side?
And so it's so funny. And then the two of them came up and said, "Vivien, we'd like you to meet so and so. He's the station manager." I'm like, "Oh, am I really in trouble now?" He said, "I think you'll make a very interesting guest." And I'm like, "I'm going to be the guest of the station manager because he has his own show."
Mhm,
And when I got to his show, he was such like you, an entertaining and yet informational and
mhm,
engaging character.
mhm,
Typically me, I have this belief that I don't care if I don't know all the answers, but what I care is I ask timely, relevant, and meaningful, cute questions.
mhm,
Because it's very you. My questions are so raw. They're
mhm,
so human. You can see I have no notes. Anything I do, I give international talks. I don't write. I just it's I guess my head's a sponge. Anyway, in the middle of this in the middle of the show, I said,
mhm,
"Really?" And then I started asking him all sorts of things. And then he started answering. And after he said, "Wait, wait, wait." He really said that. "This is my show. I am the host." I thought I was, he forgot because my questions were so human. You just
mhm,
think if you're the station manager and you've had the talk show forever, you're always asking, and no one really cares about you. They just want to
mhm,
be a guest, right? But he
mhm,
was really fascinating. And so I asked all sorts of things. And then I asked him more things until he realized, wait, 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 wait. This is my show. I said, "Oh, sorry." And he said, "For doing that, I'm going to do something." I said, "Are you going to cut for a commercial and then throw me out?" He said, "No." And then he looked at the camera. Instead of looking at me, he looked at the camera. "Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce that Miss Vivien over here is gonna get her own talk show in my station very soon." I'm like, eh? I didn't get the title. All of a sudden, all the four languages that I speak, this is all I could say. And then he started laughing. I don't hesitate to go when I
mhm,
feel
mhm,
right? And on air, because this is all live, I don't do tape stuff.
mhm,
And I just said, "I don't know anything about talk shows." He said, "Well, you're in a talk show." I said, "Well, I don't know how to run one." He said, "Well, you just saw how it's done." "What a character." And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't mean I'll know how." He said, "Well, you will."
mhm,
I said, "Well, I guess if you give me time." He said, "I can give you time." "Oh, okay, but I'm not sure if I'm competent." He said, "I'm the one who rates people around here." I said, "Oh, okay, great." So he looks up again at the camera and says, "She said yes. And so she's going to have a show on Monday." I'm like, "Monday? But it's Thursday." And he says, "Yes, Monday usually comes soon after Thursday." So this gets funnier and funnier. And I had to learn production. I've been hosting forever, hosting events, parties, etc., training.
mhm,
But it's not a joke to be on TV and it's live. Like, ah, yeah. Ah. So I crammed everything I could think of into a concept.
mhm,
And because I'm really a child at heart, it's something everybody does in kindergarten, Lawana.
mhm.
I call my show and tell.
Oh, why show and tell?
Well, basically, most people, if you notice, when you're having a snack or dinner or lunch, you do notice everybody's talking at the same time.
True.
People just want to be seen
Mhm.
and
Okay.
basically,
I
right?
give you kudos that you were able to step into that role. I mean, to be told on Thursday that you're going to have a show of your own on Monday, and you've got to learn everything you need in order to produce that show and make it a success. How long have you been doing broadcasting now?
That was 2009. Do the math for me. It's December 2021.
That'd
All right.
be what, 11 going on 12 years now?
Yes.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So when did you become a commentator?
I quickly realized that I don't like interviews that are prepared questions, which I found most people do. And I am a person, you can see I'm so hyper. I might fall asleep in my own show if I read the questions. I might bore me.
Mhm,
Okay. I really like storytelling. I do this in 12 countries in 4 languages around the world. I help people tell their stories by
mhm.
having conversations, right?
Uh-huh.
I love your necklace.
Thank you.
Right. Now,
You.
question. What I do is help people tell their stories and comment on it. And that people realized was what was missing in most talk shows where people recite,
Mhm,
and then the host asks the next question and then they recite some more.
mhm.
Like here, they're beginning to know what Lawana and I do. We talk to each other, we call each other at all hours, day and night, and we
Oh
chat
my
chat.
gosh, do we ever?
Right.
I'm telling you, it might be early in the morning here and it's midnight where she's at, or 2 o'clock in the morning or something. And we don't think about it. We just send a thing. Are you up? Can you talk?
Yeah. Yeah.
it's it's been a real interesting merry-go-round of getting to know you and having you as a friend. And I really appreciate the connection because you have allowed me to learn something about Filipinos that I didn't know before. And I think it's good when we can mingle with other people and get to learn about their cultures and things, and know that we're really all the same. We may do a few things differently, but we deep down where it counts, we're really all the same. And I appreciate that from you.
I like what you said, and I want people to think about this. I am Filipino, I am based in the Philippines, and yet I didn't grow up in a local school. I grew up in a multicultural, interdenominational school where there were more of all races, colors, creed, size, age, weight, gender, and less of Filipinos. And that is what gave me this global perspective mindset. And that is where I learned as a child that to connect to people, I had to learn to ask timely, relevant, meaningful, practical, and common sense questions. And my favorite question is why? Loana, you
Oh,
know
the
that.
famous why that 2-year-olds give us. Trust me, 2-year-olds can go why. Whatever answer you give them, they're gonna go come back. Why? Give them another answer. Why? They're constantly asking why. And perhaps we as adults should learn to do the same thing.
I like your perspective because now we were able to tell people exactly what I do. I train people for root cause analysis. Like
Okay.
this is my problem. Why do you think it's a problem? They're like, because it is. I said, why do you think it is? A problem is permanent. A
Mhm,
situation is workable. What do you
mhm.
think about that, Lawana?
I think that's something I have to give some thought to
Makes sense.
because
Yeah,
it's that's a it sounds easy, but it really isn't.
there.
I
I
had
agree.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine. In fact, I have a sister who did that to me one time. And it was while I resented it at the time she was doing it, because I'm thinking, why is she doing this? But you know what? By her coming back with the why constantly, it caused me to dig deep within myself to find out some things that I didn't realize. So it's a great question. And if you have someone that you can trust to help you with that, it's a wonderful freeing thing. It's almost like journaling, which I
There you
love because I think journaling is absolutely the greatest thing that has come about. It can help you in so many ways, far too many ways for me to tell you right now. But I will say that if you want to know more information about journaling, I will be happy to work with you on that. You can always reach me at Lawana Speaks. Lawana at lawanaspeaks.com, or you can call me at 916-888-8089. So tell me, Vivien, I know you do some coaching. Can you give us a there may be some people who want to learn more about broadcasting, some of that root digging that you do. How would they get in touch with you? What's the best way? And do you still take clients? Because I know you are one busy lady.
That is my life advocacy.
Mhm.
I call them more than clients. I just tell them, you're not a client. You come in as a stranger and we end up becoming friends. I am not a typical coach.
Mhm.
Remember in the good old days, like I'm 70, right? In the good old days, you had a favorite aunt or a grandma. You could come and cry to and say, Auntie, mommy spanked me again. And then, where it goes from there.
Mhm.
So I'm that kind of person. It's not the typical coaching. Let's identify your point A and point B. I'm kind of a very warm, huggy person.
Mhm.
That's what I do, and that's what leads me with my training mindset that I integrate with being a certified mental toughness coach and a certified NLP practitioner. That's neuro linguistic programming. It's
Mhm.
really all about mindset, reframing, see the big picture, see your life in a timeline, and then understanding why. Remember, I tell people when we think something is a problem, a self fulfilling prophecy, it certainly becomes a problem. My quickest advice, Lawana, to all of your viewers and to your friends you can share,
Mhm.
just say there's a situation that I'm working on and I want to fix it in the soonest possible time. The power of the word. And
Mhm.
I tell people when you mention the specific words manifesting what you want, make sure you have the body language that goes with it and the voice tone. Can you imagine? 55% of a message is from body language, 38% is from voice tone, and only 7% are words. Quickly, Lawana, I will say, can you imagine if someone goes up to you and says, I am such a lucky person and I'm really doing everything to make my life happier and glamorous. Like, really? I don't want to be your friend. You're so weird, right? So that's how I help people look at their lives. We don't have perfect lives. I certainly don't. But I tell them what I do is saving people from themselves one step at a time, one day at a time. I hope that was useful sharing I did with you today. And the fastest way to catch me is to go on Facebook and look for all my shows are there. Look for Show and Tell Radio. The reason it says radio is at the time I set it up because on radio, but it became radio, teleradio, live streaming, and you look at it, it looks like TV.
Mhm.
Send me a message on Messenger, Show and Tell Radio, or email Miss Vivien 2019 at gmail.com. That's MISSVIVIEN 2019 at gmail.com. Or call Awana. She's always on the phone with me anyway. My journal guru, Lawana, right? I love you to the moon
Ooh.
and back. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you.
Oh, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on here, and I knew you would be entertaining. I'm so glad you came on the show today. And for those of you who would really like to connect with her, we will put the information out there so that you can get it. And as she said, you can follow her on Facebook. So go look up Show and Tell and take a look at some of her interviews. This lady is very lively, full of humor, and will leave you laughing and in good spirits. So I highly recommend that you go and take a look at what she has to offer. Again, it's been a pleasure having you here. I hope you will come again sometime to be on the show. I, I I fantasize that people are going to start reaching out and saying, "Where? How can I have? Are you going to have her again?" I'm looking forward to that because I know it will happen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being a part of the show. This is Courage to Live Your Dream. I'm so excited that you are on here today. And as I always tell you, please be safe. Do whatever it is you can to take care of yourself. And whatever you do, please always keep the faith. Hello and welcome. I'm LaWanda Parker, and I am the host and executive director of this show. So happy to have you come back and join us again. We have an outstanding woman here who's going to be my guest for the day. And I just found out that she's really into wellness and her faith is very strong. So we are going to have her share some of who she is and ask her some questions and learn some more things about her and how she could possibly help you. As for me, well, you know me. This show is all about entrepreneurs and authors and those wannabe authors and those I thought I want to be author, but I'm just afraid to write. Also, people who are thinking about getting into business, but again, they're afraid to take that first step. So our guests help them by sharing some of the struggles they went through, how they got started, and how they continued on even when the going got so rough they thought about giving up. But don't you be one of those who give up. Remember that book about acres of diamonds? I don't know if any of you read it, but the man gave up, and the person who bought his place just dug a little deeper than he did, and he got the money. So don't give up. If you're just worth dreaming about, it is worth the struggle to achieve it. So today I'm so excited and thrilled to have this special woman with me. Her name is Jackie Phillips. And Jackie is someone who I've only gotten to know here recently. There's still a lot I want to know about her, but she's such a wonderfully happy spirited person. And I love people who are always smiling and always have wonderful things to say about others. And I want you to get to know her as well. So, Jackie Phillips, please share a little bit about who Jackie is with our audience today.
Hi, Luana. Thank you very much for inviting me today. What an honor it is to be with you today. Well, my story begins, my entrepreneurial story, actually, I guess, begins over 40 years ago. I was in Germany. My husband was in the Air Force and he was stationed there. We were on ski vacation in Austria. And I'm not a skier. So at the bottom of the snow bunny hill, I tripped and crossed my right ski over my left ski. I went face plant into the snow and my bindings didn't release. I can still hear the crunch of my lower left leg as it shattered. Many casts and many months passed, and I came out of the cast, and a kind army doctor, and I use that term kind very loosely because he looked at me. My heel missed hitting the floor by this much, about an inch, a little over an inch. And he looked at me and he said, you're always going to have a limp and you'll never run again. I was 30 years old. That was unacceptable. I didn't run then. I do now because that doctor told me I could not do that. So I ran a lot of races. I didn't run a lot of races. I ran recreationally for a number of years. And then I suppose about 20 years ago, I decided I wanted to run a marathon. Why not? Why not? Why start with a small thing when you can do a big thing? So let's run a marathon. Well, I trained with a friend and we had many stops and starts. And along the way, as I was training for that marathon, I fell in love with some nutritional products, one called Nutrilite that also helped me with my asthma and breathing and itises, chronic bronchitis, sinusitis, all those kinds of things. So at the time I was running a swim school because I guess I've always been an entrepreneur. And I went into wellness on the side in addition to my swim school. I trained for that first marathon and actually ran that first marathon. There's a lot of stories behind that too. And I talk about some of those in my book because that that was not a simple thing to do. Simple, yes, easy, no. But anyway, I ran that first marathon, and then the dream was born to run the classic at marathon in Athens, Greece. And I was able to run over the finish line in Athens, Greece at the old Olympic Stadium in 2009 at age 65. So there's not a whole lot of people that cross the marathon line at 65, but I did, and it was a lot of fun. So I've always been an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. He owned a drive-in theater, and I started out as a teacher, but that wasn't where my heart was. And so I've always taught. I teach now at Riverside Community College, our community college. I teach classes in wellness for foster parents. So I do that. But my real passion is helping people to live more positive lives. And in 2019, I was asked to be a contributor to a collaborative book. That collaborative book was produced, and I had such a kick writing that book. I thought, I've always, the bucket list said, okay, you want to scratch that off? And I thought, yeah, I want to scratch that off. So I wrote and self-published my first book, Step by Step, 21 Steps to Enhance the Winner in You. And it's all about having a winning attitude, which I believe I've had for the last 40 years. And that book was published and off the press. We had the book lunch party. We were celebrating, and I'm going, done. I don't want to do that again. No more books. And then I'm walking one day with my praise music in my ears, and I hear this, write my book. And I immediately go into denial. I don't want to write your book. I don't want to write any more books. I am done writing books. One and done. That's all I'm going to do. But I came home and I wrote down everything that the Lord gave me that day, which was smart, because the rest of what I did wasn't so smart. And I put that in a drawer. And then we were quarantined from the pandemic. And again, I'm walking, because what else could you do during those months that all of us were, 3 months, we were all quarantined? I was walking. And again, I heard that voice, write my book, very audibly in my heart. It's like, okay, I'll write your book. So the second book was written, and that book is now on the market. So that's just a little bit about me and my authorship and how that all has come to be.
Wow, that's amazing. That is determination. I have some questions, but I noticed some ribbons behind you. Look like you won some ribbons. Is that from your marathon running?
All the races I've run. When you run races, they usually give you a medal at the end. You don't have to win to do that, but you get the medal. And
but it shows that you've been actively running. It's not just a story you're sharing with us. You've got your proof to say, hey, look, I was there. I was there. That's fantastic. I didn't realize that you had gone through so much. Um, I hadn't heard this story about you before. I've heard you talking about the marathon running, but I didn't realize that you had been told that you would never run again, and your commitment that he was wrong. It's funny how when somebody tells you what you can't do, especially if it's something that you've already put in your mind that you will do, and someone comes along and tell you're not going to do it, that drive, that burning, you have to do it, gets into you, and you don't quit till you do.
Well, actually, the first time when I was told I'd never run again, I wasn't running then. I'd never even thought about running, but he made me mad. It's like, don't tell me what you can't do. But then right before the first marathon that I ran, it was toward the end of January. And on January 1st, I had extreme abdominal cramping and had to go to the emergency room. It's not a place you want to go on New Year's Day night, but I had to. And I got there and I saw a surgeon, and he examined me and he said, you need to have your appendix removed right now. And again, I argued. I went, no, wait, because when you run a marathon, you train for 6 months and you're like in really good shape, but that's a lot. It's a big time investment. I said, no, I can't have an appendectomy. I have a marathon to run in 17 days. And he looked at me and he said, if we don't remove your appendix, you could die. And I went, oh, well, since you put it that way.
But you know what? Priorities come into play.
God bless that endeavor. What are the odds, Luana, that
Mhm.
on New Year's Day night, you will go to the ER and you will get the one surgeon who's a marathon runner?
Oh my God.
I did. And he said, don't you worry. I think you still may be able to run that marathon. So I did 17 days after surgery.
Um, I don't know how you did it, but congratulations
I
on.
know how I did it. It was with God's help.
Mhm. Oh wow. Ooh, well, yeah, obviously your faith is very strong, and it's something that means a great deal to you. Um, and I heard you talking about how God's spoken to your head about the writing the book. I remember when I got sick a couple of years ago, and it's the first time I had been sick, and I can't even remember. It's been so long ago. And what I heard God saying to me was journal. That's how I got into journaling because I certainly wasn't thinking about doing it. And I'm amazed that here it is a year later and I'm still doing it. So how is it that, because we were talking about faith just a moment ago prior to coming on the show, how is it that you were able to build up your faith to the point that you can do the things that you do and trust that it's going to happen?
Well, that's an interesting question because I believe that this last book that I wrote, which is called An Upward Climb Toward Faith, and I actually have a picture of Mount Rubidoux in Riverside, which on which one morning I gave my life to Christ.
Mhm.
So that was really symbolic for me, that mountain. But
Mhm.
I didn't have much faith. Even when I broke my leg all those years ago, that I wasn't a person of faith then.
Mhm.
I guess I was just a person of determination. And he told me what I couldn't do, and that made me mad. But
Mhm.
since I have built on my faith, and I believe that he asked me to write this book on faith, that was part of my argument. You want me to write a book about what? Me? Faith? Are you kidding me? I don't do faith that well, God. And he said, yeah, but you're going to learn.
Well, I have the one on the 21 steps to enhance your inner self. I'm going to have to get the one on faith because, as I was sharing with you, over the last few years, I say about the last 20 years of my life, is when I started working on my faith uh, in God. And sometimes it's a challenge. And I have conversations with him about that all the time. He's working on me, trust me. But that's one of the things that I really want to have grow stronger because without faith, there's nothing that you can do. That's as far as I'm concerned. Because when those moments when I know and I totally trust, and I don't know why it doesn't stay with us, it kind of slips away. But when those times when I know absolutely that what has I've been instructed to do is going to come to pass, it works. It's there. It happens. And I want to grow in that. Heck, I used to say all the time, I want to be like Jesus. I want to have total absolute faith where there's nothing shakes it, you know. So, but I'm working on it. At any rate, uh,
I
you
think
say
we're
that
all a
you.
work in, I think we're all a work in progress, you know. At my church, at Women's Bible Study, we're studying the book of Numbers,
Mhm.
and we're watching the Israelites as they traveled for 38 years in the wilderness with all kinds of reasons that they should have had a lot of faith, and they didn't. They were always not believing, and we haven't come that far. You know, that sort of illustrates your point. I think it's something that's why I named my book what I did, because to me it's an upward climb.
Mhm.
It's not something that, you know, we take a step up, maybe two steps up, and then boom, we're falling back down one again. Then we're climbing up again, and we're falling down again. Um,
Mm.
it's an ongoing struggle that we have to do. All
And
of
I have to wonder sometime, since you mentioned that, if the reason why they hit the up and down is for the rest of us to know that you're going to have up and downs, but don't give up. You know, So anyway, I didn't mean to take you down that road, and we're not trying to convert anyone, but I have to admit I do like talking about the Lord. It's just something that gets to me. Uh, I just have a special feeling in here for it. However, I know that you are into more than just your faith. Share with us some of what you do and what you can do for us.
Oh, well, what I can do for you is set up a complimentary strategy session with anyone who'd like one. And that's in the wellness area.
Mm.
I help people to figure out what they need. Most of us, well, the numbers are that 75 to 90% of us do not eat the recommended number of fruits and vegetables on a daily basis that we need. So I can help you figure out what you need to eat to improve your health. So that's the main thing that I do. I also am available to speak at groups, in any kind of group, about either wellness or faith, or becoming a person who has more belief, two kind of beliefs. One, more belief in the Lord, or two, not necessarily mutually exclusive of one another, one who believes in herself or himself. Because I believe that we always have to be growing, because if we're not growing, we're going backwards. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm not a young person, but I'd love to learn something new every single day. And with that kind of an attitude, you generally do. And sometimes you often learn it from people that you are not expecting to learn from, but you do, as long as you're open to the possibility of learning. And you asked about faith. This is kind of going back. I think you have to be actively involved in your faith development, and you have to be actively involved in your personal development. If you're not, you're just going to get stagnant. You get sucked up into what's going on in the world. Who wants to be sucked into what's going on in the world right now? Not me. We don't want to go there.
Oh no, we don't. That's some crazy things going on, but it's what it is, and we, as you say, we just have to keep going forward. I keep, I keep, I keep praying that everything will turn out for the better. And so many things that I've asked of the Lord has come to fruition that I get angry with myself sometimes, because I think to myself, why aren't you stronger? He's never let you down. Why aren't you stronger? And I guess I'm like the Israelites, always looking for something to complain about.
I think we all are.
If you're happy with what you got, I have to find something to complain about. So, but I'm thankful that he's never left me. So, this wellness now, what made you? Well, I know you had the accident, so that got you going in that path. Um, give us a little more information as to why you feel that the product that you offer will give us what we need. Because sometimes I think I ate better when I was poor and didn't have than I do today when I have choices.
Eating healthy is really simple. If you think of a plate, you want half of it to be fruits and vegetables, the other half to be grains and protein, quarter for each of one of those. And you want to eat more vegetables than fruits. But on the eating fruits, vegetables, and fruits, the easiest way, and I have this fruit basket behind me here to kind of show, you eat 2 of every color every day. 2 reds, 2 purple blues, 2 whites, 2 yellow oranges, and I'm missing something, 2 reds every single day. That gives you 10 fruits and vegetables, because fruits and vegetables are loaded with something called phytonutrients. And phytonutrients are just it's what makes my it's not very good color. Let's make my pepper here red. That's full of phytonutrients that give it its color. And you want to have as wide a variety as you possibly can each and every day. So the more wide variety you have in what you eat, the better it is for your health, because you're giving your body all kinds of different things, and giving your body all kinds of different nutrients helps you to be healthier.
In this day and age when they put all kinds of stuff in the ground to try to help things grow more and faster because we have so many people in the world. Do you feel that we still get the vitamin and nutrients that we need from those vegetables and fruits?
No, that's why we supplement. And people say to me all the time, well, I eat organic. And I say, that's wonderful. That's a good thing to do. But eating organic just means that you're not having pesticides on what you're eating. It doesn't have anything to do with the nutrients. And you can't see it on my screen here, Luana, because it's not wide enough, but I'll go as wide as my hands can go. There we go. If you imagine a yardstick, an old-fashioned yardstick, the topsoil in the 50s was 21 inches. Today, that topsoil is 7 inches.
Oh my goodness.
So where do the plants get the nutrients? From the soil. And when you have reduced soil depth, you have reduced nutrients, and you're not getting the nutrients, which is why even the American Medical Association says everyone should take a multivitamin, multimineral. The particular one I've taken, it's called Double X. I've taken it for 30 years, and so is my husband. We both, you ask us one thing we wouldn't want to do without, that would be one of them, because we feel that it gives us more energy and it helps to expand our health options. I just ran a race this weekend and I'm 77.
Oh, wow. You look very good for 77. I thought I was older than you, but okay. If you just want to be.
I got you beat in
Girl,
the
you
age
look
category, huh?
good. You look good.
Well, thank you.
I never would have guessed. So that's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And for the rest of you out there, don't use your age as an excuse not to step out there and go for your dream. Because as long as you are breathing and as long as you can dream, it means there's a purpose. God still has something for you to do. And you need to be out there doing it. I keep telling people all the time that if you're not doing the thing that God has called on you to do, uh, there's somebody who really needs your help that's not going to get it because you haven't stepped up to the plate. And I'm one of those who for years kept asking, "What's my purpose? Why am I here? What do you want me to do?" And it took me getting sick. I mean, I was really sick, and I don't know if I had COVID or not, but I was out for almost 4 weeks. And during that time, journal just kept going around in my head. So I thought, okay, when I came out of it, I told somebody, I said, I guess I wasn't listening carefully enough. So God finally knocked me flat on my back. So I would listen to him.
I think
But
he has to do that with us sometimes.
yes, he does. Sometimes he does have to do that. In many cases, I think it's because we're looking for something glamorous. And God has something very simple that He wants you to do, and it's just as important as the glamorous things. And not knocking those. It's just that sometimes we have to open ourselves up and listen. So, what else would you like us to know about health and wellness? Because it is a very important thing today in this world of all these. Oh my gosh, we got so much stuff that we're trying to protect ourselves from that I think we may have opened up doors to making ourselves vulnerable to other things that we hadn't anticipated. So, what would you like to share with us as a way to help keep us in good health?
Well, I think the best thing is to just eat the wide variety of fruits and vegetables every single day. And then it's not hard. We need to drink water to hydrate. We need to do some kind of physical activity. They say a minimum of 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week. I think that's kind of low. Personally, I'm probably an hour and a half to 2 hours every day doing something, running, walking, whatever, moving. Because if you don't move it, you lose it. And as you get older, it's you got to keep going. So let's see, adequate rest. That's a hard thing for me to do. I'm always recommending it, but I'm one of those hyper people. So calming down is very difficult for me to do, but I'm trying to be more conscious about getting enough rest and just taking care of yourself. When you feel your body telling you something, it's telling you something, and we need to listen to what it has to say to us. So I guess if there were five things, it would be eat well, get exercise, drink enough water, get rest, and take care of yourself. That was five, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you. So if someone wanted to speak with you, work with you, or just get more knowledge from you about health and wellness, how would they get in contact with you?
The best place is probably through my website, and that's Jackie-Phillips.com, with a HTTP,
Mhm.
www, and all that stuff in front of it. And I'm also reachable by email, and that's real simple. It's Jackie@Jackie-Phillips.com. So anybody can reach me that way.
Great. We'll make sure that information is put out there to help others. Well, Jackie, it has been a real pleasure having you with us today. You're just full of knowledge, and I just I'm one of those people who needs to probably do more in the exercise area, especially now that I've gotten older. I need to move a little more than I've been doing. So thank you for reminding me of that. And for all of those of you out there who think that I don't need to be doing any exercises, I beg to differ. We all need to, because as I get older, I find things stiffen up a little more. And if I don't get active, I mean, just 2 years ago, I could do a whole lot more than what I'm doing now because I've been sitting too much these last 2 years. But yes, thank you for sharing that. And especially thank you for telling your story. That was it was heartbreaking because of what happened to you, but your strength and determination, it's something that all of us need. And thank you for reminding us that we are the ones who decide, not someone else. We make the decision for ourselves. Well, Jackie, I look forward to having you come back again.
Well, gosh, I love that. It's been fun chatting with you today. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. It was great having you here. And just want to remind all of you that this show comes on every week. I'd love for you to come back and find out who our next guest is going to be, because we never really know who the next person is going to pop up and give us some good, wonderful advice and information that we can use. We are, as I told you before, all about authors, because I love to write and I love to read. And anyone who can write a book, I want to hear what they did, how they put it together. We didn't talk enough about your book, so you definitely have to come back.
Well, I'd love that. Thank
Okay?
you.
And tell us about how you put that book together. Want to hear that, because there are a lot of writers out there who are afraid to do anything because they don't think they have enough to say. So you can share with us how you got started, what kept you going. We'd love to hear about that. And for all of you wannabe business people, entrepreneurs and things, please, if that's your dream, do it. Sit down, make a plan, write out a plan, and just take action. There are lots of coaches out there. There are many people who are waiting to help you, but you just have to decide what you want to do, and I hope that you will. So until the next time, as I ask you all the time, please stay safe, take care of yourself, and always, always keep the faith.